Welcome to an emergency edition of Andy Staples On3. Yeah, big news. Reggie Bush has got his Heisman back. Finally, the Heisman Trust has come to its senses and reinstated Reggie Bush's 2005 Heisman Trophy. About time. About time. This is a case that has dragged on 4 years, that started with Reggie Bush and his family taking money from two guys who wanted to be Reggie Bush's agent. So took money, lived rent-free in a house, the parents did. All stuff that you could do now, that since 2021 has been perfectly within the rules in college sports. But the Heisman Trust, no, we couldn't give it back. And eventually they caved to pressure, though. But you had guys like Johnny Manziel saying, listen, I'm not going to the Heisman ceremony until you give Reggie his Heisman back. Because it was always stupid that Bush lost his Heisman Trophy over this. You had situations where people were accused of taking money. You had situations where people were accused of much worse things and didn't lose their Heisman Trophy. So this was always dumb that he didn't have it, but it was especially dumb since 2021 when they changed the rules to allow the thing he got it stripped for that he didn't have it. So the Heisman Trust comes to its senses, and now Reggie Bush has his Heisman Trophy back. But let's go back through the case. Let's walk down memory lane just so we can see how stupid this was that Reggie Bush didn't have his Heisman Trophy. So the case involved is that Reggie Bush took money from a couple of agents, took gifts. His parents lived in a house that one of the wannabe agents had bought. And the NCAA retconned this into saying that those agents did this to help USC, which they didn't. In fact, they tried to tie all of this to USC's running backs coach, Todd McNair. He ended up suing the NCAA for defamation, and the NCAA ended up paying him in 2021. So it was always sketchy, shady. And yes, it was against the rules for him to take what he took from those guys in 2003, 2004, 2005. It was. But they were stupid rules, which is why those rules don't exist anymore. Because, again, and I've said this for a long, long time, including when USC was being investigated by the NCAA over this. There's nothing morally wrong with giving people money for being good at football. And in this particular case, they never really could tie USC to it. And that's the thing. Like, Reggie Bush didn't lose his Heisman when it came out that he took money from two guys who wanted to be his agent. Like, that was not really in doubt as of about 2006. He had to give up his Heisman in 2010 after the NCAA sanctions came down. And if you remember correctly, this particular case, they had the picture of Todd McNair with the two agents. I believe the other person in the picture was Faison Love, who played Big Worm in Friday. Like, it was the dumbest case you've ever seen. And then you found out as the years went by, as Todd McNair's suit unfolded, that the NCAA basically cooked the evidence. They didn't actually have any, that USC was involved in this. And it made perfect sense as to why these agents wanted to get in with Reggie Bush. He was the most exciting player in college football. He was a surefire first-round draft pick. We were sure he was going to be a star in the NFL, and he was a very good NFL player. He actually wasn't the level of star we thought he'd be based on the level of star he was in college. But let's go back to 2004, 2005. He was electrifying. Watching Reggie Bush play at USC was incredible. Now, Mary says his ass cheated. Also, Vince Young deserved the award instead. If you want to go relitigate the 2005 Heisman Trophy and say that Vince Young should have gotten it, I'm not going to argue with you there. Vince Young had an awesome season, and when they played, which was after the trophy was given out, Vince Young won. So I don't have a problem with you saying that. If you believe Vince Young should have won that trophy, that's fine. But Reggie did win it, and it got taken away for some pretty dumb reasons. And fortunately, now it's coming back. Steve says, glad you're mentioning that it's from external agents who are giving him money and not USC. Well, that's what happened. That's what happened. The NCAA had to retcon this whole thing to make it about USC so it could punish USC. But it's really just a prime example of how the NCAA's system was never going to be sustainable. The system of not letting the athletes get paid by anybody was never going to be sustainable because Reggie Bush was an incredibly valuable person when he was at USC. Everybody wanted a piece of him. Everybody who was going to be a marketing agent or an agent in NFL circles wanted Reggie Bush as a client. There was value there. So to say he can't take anything from any of these people was unsustainable. Because if enough people throw enough money at enough different people, those people are going to start taking it because they're not stupid. They understand how valuable they are in the system. And so this was one of the earliest instances where you realize this is never going to sustain. You're going to get to a system where these guys are going to be allowed to have agents, where people are going to be allowed to pay them, whether that's the schools or somebody else. Right now, it's somebody else. If you follow the news, the state of Virginia just passed a law. As of June 1st, the schools will be able to pay them in Virginia, which means everybody else is going to pass the same law. So the world has come to its senses on this, and now finally the Heisman Trophy itself, the Heisman Trust, the people who hand out the trophy, they've come to their senses as well. And good. I hope that Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy gets to make an appearance in a Wendy's commercial now. I really do. He's earned it. Let him make some cash off this thing. There's enough former Heisman winners cashing in on their trophies. Reggie's been doing a good job working in TV. He's been doing a lot of things. But there's always been this thing hanging over that he got punished for this. Hardly anybody else actually did. Todd McNair got punished, but he at least got paid by the NCAA in that settlement. Now, it all makes sense. Johnny Manziel, he tweeted, couldn't be happier for my guy. And Johnny, I think, had a big hand in this because Johnny saying that he was not going to the Heisman ceremony if Reggie didn't get his Heisman back. I think there were going to be other Heisman Trophy winners who maybe hadn't said that publicly, but were not going to be there, who were going to protest this in that way. Neil, now reinstate Ohio State for Tattoo-gate. Well, they've been reinstated. Ohio State is eligible to win trophies. They chose not to take the bowl ban in 2011 when they could have missed a pretty mid-Gator Bowl against Florida and then had to miss the 2012 one. But no, Jim Tressel's the university president. It's all been reinstated. But that was dumb too. I agree. The Ohio State tattoo thing was dumb. I remember when that happened, the column I wrote after it happened was Terrell Pryor, Devere Posey, all you guys, just go pro now. Don't play in this system anymore. It's stupid. And Reggie Bush was already gone by the time all this stuff had happened. But this was just an example of holding up the NCAA's rules as something sacred. These rules against paying players, against players taking money. It wasn't even against schools paying players. It was against players taking money from people who wanted to give them money for being good at football. That was something sacred. Troy in the chat. If Bush gets his Heisman back, totally agree, then Tressel should get his reputation back. He's a university president. He got it back. Relax, guys. My goodness. But Reggie Bush, what do you do now? Like I said before, you gotta get that Heisman Trophy in some Wendy's commercials. I would just bring the Heisman Trophy everywhere with me if I was Reggie Bush. Hey, got it back. It's mine now. never taking it away again, never giving it back again. And the Heisman Trust, it's too late. You should have done this 3 years ago. Like the day the NCAA changed the rules is when this should have come back. Onakuno in the chat. Does SMU get their 1987 and 1988 seasons back? They should. You invent a time machine, and we'll let SMU play football in the late 80s. But yeah, Reggie Bush should just carry that Heisman Trophy everywhere. Be like, got it back. Never should have lost it. Remember me? I won the 2005 Heisman Trophy. I was awesome. The Heisman Trust, the statement they put out explained it very well, I thought, because they talked about, massive changes in college football. And that's the reason they're doing this. This is to reflect the massive changes in college football. And yeah, I think everybody's kind of on board with this now. I still, it's interesting as we talk about different teams, different players, as players move around based on NIL deals. I do see occasionally, well, they bought a championship and good luck with all those bought wins. Guys, we're past that. We're past that. The players are incredibly valuable pieces of a multi-billion-dollar industry. Reggie Bush was an incredibly valuable piece of what might not quite have been multi-billion-dollar by that point. Might have only been a multi-million-dollar industry at that point, but it was headed toward multi-billion. And you knew you couldn't sustain it. You knew you couldn't keep saying these guys can't take any money. It didn't make any sense. There's nothing morally wrong with giving people money for being good at football. And now, a grave injustice has been corrected. So congratulations to Reggie Bush. Enjoy your Heisman. Again, put it wherever you want. Put it in your living room. Put it in your trophy case. If you're still mad at the Heisman Trust, put it in your bathroom. It's yours. You can put it wherever you want. Congratulations to Reggie Bush. And kudos to the Heisman Trust. You're 3 years late on this, but you got it right.